We are joined by Congressman Jonathan Jackson, represents Illinois' 1st District. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. It's wonderful to see you today.
And how are you, too? I'm not trying to be rude.
Yeah, that's okay, Joan. Jonathan's here.
It'll be your turn in a minute.
That's
okay?
right.
So what have you been doing here? I know you've been here every day.
Well, attending the ceremonial meetings that you have at the McCormick Place.
There have been some caucuses, I know. I know there was one on the Palestinian situation. Which meetings did you attend?
No, I was attending the one on budget and finance and foreign affairs, as well as on agriculture.
And who attends those? Is it just the members of Congress who are here?
Delegates, members of Congress, right?
Oh.
And some concerned constituents, people that are mayors, elected officials that are trying to lobby and make things clear on rules that aren't working for them.
People don't think about that part of a convention. Yeah, it's all the big speeches and the balloons and the performers and the excitement. But there's a lot of real work that goes on behind the scenes.
Oh, sure, because you've got 50 states represented. You've got, I think, 11 territories. You've got municipalities, the state as well as the counties are all together. I would tell people the two most important races that are going on right now at the top of the ticket, the president and the vice president. But don't forget, there are 470 federal races going on at the same time. So then that has to be bifurcated and broken out into every region, because at the end of the day, you need 218 to run the House. You need 51 to run the Senate. So,
And if we could have a Democratic president, a Democratic Congress, and a Democratic Senate, just imagine what we could get done. And by we, I mean you.
Us.
Us. Well, have you found with this week, and it's obviously been a track meet, with these meetings, these caucus meetings and some of the council meetings, you're getting things done, it seems. And I talked to a few people yesterday at McCormick Place, and everybody seems to be charged about some of the things that are happening in those smaller, I guess you could say, smaller meetings.
Well, and thank God we're back together again. It's been 8 years since we've had a convention.
Yeah.
So that's so people, old alliances are reconnecting and finding out who's still here. So you're excited to see people. I forgot, where have you been?
Yeah.
I missed you. So it's been 8 years.
I know,
so
we forget that we didn't have one in 2020.
Right, and so change that, then you speed up, and voter suppression has moved up higher and stronger now. And so there are voter suppression laws that have gone in, 270 new laws. So many people are just now catching up to what the new rules are.
Yeah, that's crazy. How many people are you anticipating? Have you got any numbers in terms of the number of people that are actually here?
I don't have the numbers.
Yeah.
No, I just try to go one step, 1 foot in front of the other. It's exhausting. It's all day.
Yeah.
It's a blessing.
It is. It's great that it's in Chicago. Everybody that I've talked to has said, where else on the planet would this convention for our party and all the parts and pieces that you just discussed, there's no other place, I think, on the planet that would be appropriate to have this convention this year.
Well, you know what? It would be ideal if we could take this convention to New Orleans and go down to the South and take it back to Atlanta, to take it to Birmingham, to take it to Houston. The South can give us enormous gains as far as representation of Democrats. There's only one Democrat in the Congress from Kentucky, only one Democrat in the Congress from Tennessee. There's never been an African-American congressman from Arkansas. So there's a lot of political gains that can happen. There's one Democratic congressman in Mississippi, in Alabama, in South Carolina.
And disproportionate numbers of black representation, black folks there as the population, but not the representation.
Exactly. And so it's great that it's in Chicago, to answer your question, but that's because Minnesota was almost in play. Wisconsin's in play. Michigan's in play. These are places that have historically been called blue and Democrat and strong. They were piercing our wall and knocking us down, and we should be on the offense. So I'm glad that Vice President Tim Walz is shoring that up, and the excitement with President Harris is shoring that up.
Yep.
And then after we win this, let's take our fight back to the South so we can get some additional representation.
Right on.
You mentioned voter suppression. I've also been reading a lot about Republican election deniers getting themselves on boards, getting themselves in a position to delay certification or refuse certification of the votes. Are you worried about that kind of nonsense disrupting the presidential election?
I am 100% worried about that, and that's why I would tell you now that we should be trending at least 3 points ahead because of voter suppression, that he keeps projecting. They're trying to steal something from you. No, you steal things. Okay, you're dishonest. But he's projecting that value. And in turn, this is what they're doing. They're putting in draconian laws to say that if you're standing in line, you cannot give someone water in the state of Georgia in August when they're going to have an election. Give me a break. If they're senior citizens, look at the people that are trying to come to this convention hall. I feel sorry for all those that were differently able that had to go through all these barricades. They can't move. It becomes a barrier. And there's now the rules that are going into effect in the state of Georgia. One person has challenged 30,000 people on the voter roll. The municipality doesn't have the resources to deal with all of these frivolous, not even lawsuits, but allegations that are lawsuits.
30,000 people, one person?
Yes.
Nice.
Without being able to show any proof.
No evidence that backs that complaint up. And it's really just a complaint.
Yes.
More than anything that's legally withstanding, right?
Yes.
Wow. So this goes back. Joan, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that was what you were talking about Saturday night when we were over at the Vic, and Richard told the crowd, check your registration. Check your registration. And I know in Illinois that if you find there's a problem, you can register day of voting. But it's still a habit we should all get into. Yeah,
doing it now and repeatedly. And one of the things that I talk about on my show and what Joan was referring to from Saturday night, make sure you're registered, know where you're going to vote, and know who you're taking with you and who you're going to help in the process because of what you said about something as simple as water. And we have the luxury here in Illinois that that's not an issue. But to your point, in other states, namely southern states, that is a problem. So, big question, fair question. What are we trying to do with those 1 in 30,000 scenarios? I've heard that Mark Elias is part of the mix now, and he's going to be there to help or leading a team. Is that accurate, or is that just...
I'm not familiar with all the components, but the Justice Department, other people will have something to say. But because the state legislatures are now so hyper-partisan, 20 Democratic states, governor and both houses have the same party affiliation. Republicans have 30. And these laws started sweeping the nation after Trump's second loss in 2020. And so now they are on the books, and they've not had that much attention placed on them. So people should check their registration, should make sure that they're voted, and also show up in overwhelming numbers. Think about it. Mrs. Hillary Clinton, she won the race. She had 3 million more votes than Donald J. Trump. But unfortunately, we don't have one federal election. We have 50 individual state elections. Yeah. And where you win is as important as how many you win by. And she lost the president by 70,000 votes, the lowest margin. I can't even say she lost it. She won by 3 million votes and then didn't get the presidency.
Our Jim Crow system.
By 70,000. And then President Biden, he won the popular vote by 6 million votes. But technically only won by 475,000 in those select states, in those 6 states. So people, please beware. You're going to have to come out in overwhelming numbers like we did before with Joe Biden.
And you don't have the luxury to say my vote doesn't matter, because we've had 2 elections. Really, we had 3 consecutive elections where everybody's vote has mattered. And if we go back in the recent Wayback Machine to 2004, in the second Bush election, it mattered in Ohio because of, again, this Jim Crow electoral system that we have. So I appreciate you making that clear to folks that you got to get out, you got to be there, and bring some folks with you.
Yeah, and that's the whole spirit behind Trumpism, MAGA, Make America Great Again. Let's make America better. Let's make America stronger. Let's make America kinder and more prosperous. Why can't we talk in the positive and going forward?
Yep.
Why is this guy so negative? When we think of the past, in the 50s, are you talking about the segregation? Are you talking about in the 20s? Are you talking about in the black codes? Are you talking about in 1896? Where you are defining black as one drop black blood? I mean, what are you talking about?
Man,
we've been a work in progress, but it's gotten better over time. I'm not willing to look back and say there was a better generation than the present.
Right, because that's always been the goal, is how does the next generation benefit from what the current generation is trying to do. And anything backwards right now. And what's interesting, Joan, and I've found so many people that when they hear those words about we're not going back, they ask the question, well, what does that mean? Well, back is not good at any time if you're trying to progress your society.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter.
So there was a member on the floor in the House of Representatives. I don't want to mention his name again because he's since made up. But he was talking about the colored people and other things. This is in the 118th Congress, and so I went to talk. So I ended up doing a floor speech, and I called him out by name, and I said, when you say, the colored people, are you talking about what's on my grandmother's birth certificate? Are you talking about the colored bathrooms? Are you talking about the colored schools? Or are you talking about something in a box of crayons? So what are you talking about? But this mentality is going on the floor on the House of Representatives right now. There's a Senator Cassidy. They were interviewing him regarding black maternal health and saying we have like third world numbers for maternal health care in many parts of America, in rural white women and urban black women. And how did he feel about this? Senator Cassidy, I quote, he says, our numbers wouldn't be so bad if we took out the black females.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, this is his words. And people have normalized it, but everyone would have been in shock 20, 30 years ago. I think that's okay for you to say.
That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you came to spend some time with us. Always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you. And over the years, you've only become more and more wonderful.
Oh, now we know why he got elected with so many votes, because he is so charming.
Listen,
Congressman
I am a fan of yours.
Jackson.